Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Jonathan and myself are here today to kind of take you through how to do business deck with Aramark Avendra Group. I am Mercedes Rodriguez, Supplier Diversity Manager, and I manage the Avendra side of the business. And I'll kick it off to Jonathan to introduce himself.
Hey, good morning. Good afternoon for those who are with us on the East Coast. Um, yeah, just wanted to say thank you all for being here. We're excited to share this information. Again, my name is Jonathan Mason, Supply Diversity Manager here at Aramark. I manage our supply diversity efforts in our U.S. food, beverage, and facilities business. And so we're going to be walking through some details of our program and how we source for small and diverse suppliers and how you can do business with us. So we're going to move ahead to the next slide. So just a little information about Aramark for those who may not be familiar. Aramark is in the customer service business, the managed service business across food, facilities, and formerly uniforms. As of about a year ago, we've exited the uniforms business, but we are still in food and facilities across several industries, wherever people learn, play, recover, sports and entertainment, higher education, healthcare, business, dining, etc. And so Mercedes and our roles sit within the broader responsible sourcing team within Aramark Supply Chain, which is led by our manager, Natalie Santos, who you see on the screen, who's the VP of Responsible Sourcing. Natalie oversees not just diverse sourcing, but also local procurement, as well as sustainable sourcing. And then Mercedes and myself, we both work in tandem to manage supplier diversity for the enterprise. Next slide, please. So Aramark supply chain, as it relates to supplier diversity, there are really two main components when we look at how we engage with our suppliers. So we engage with suppliers directly, where we contract with the manufacturer of a product, and we procure those products at a set price with set terms in place. And then we also work with distributors who we'll contract with to inventory and deliver certain products on behalf of clients and manufacturers that we have client relationships with on our behalf. And so if the manager does not deliver directly into unit, we'll work with a distributor. And sometimes those distributors also have small and diverse procurement operations or programs that we can also report on from a tier 2 perspective. So, and we'll talk about that. But generally, those two components, we work directly with manufacturers and we also work through distribution. And when we're selecting suppliers to work with, some key things that we look at, one is the reliability of the supplier, right? Are you able to get the product to where we need it when we need it? Aramark is a large organization. We operate in 22 countries around the world and all over the US. And so, having product and items where we need them to be, when we need them to be is a major priority. Obviously, quality is also important. Can you provide consistent quality at the level that we expect? So that's both quality of the product, but also quality of the logistics of your operation, food safety standards, etc. Next is the economics. Does the relationship make sense from a financial standpoint? So we'll talk about some of the things that come into play when we're looking at contracting and some of the economic terms that go into our contracts with suppliers. So we look at that. We also look at, just generally, is the supplier a fit for the business? So, you'd be surprised how many suppliers reach out to us and we have to explain to them that we're in the food business. We're primarily, right, food and facilities, and most of our procurement, the overwhelming majority of our procurement is within those categories. And so it is important to make sure that your business fits with our business fits with your business, etc. And then the last two pieces are really more so on does it meet with our long-term strategic goals, right? We just mentioned that, we're very closely connected with our sustainability and local sourcing goals. And so a lot of times, we'll have opportunities where there's a need in kind of all three of those arenas, all three of those areas. And so we'll look at, can a supplier kind of support our overall goals? It's a specific goal that they can support us with. And then simplicity is really important. Again, just with the level of volume, right? Are we able to optimize, and streamline the processes as we source for products from different suppliers? So distribution is a major part of that. The technology that's used as a part of our operation, your operation, et cetera, are all things that we consider. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Jonathan. So in this slide, we'll go through what are some of our practices, right? So what's critical to our business? And the first thing that comes to mind here is, our mission to identify and include diverse suppliers in our competitive initiatives and IRP. And as Jonathan mentioned, we look for diverse suppliers that can provide high quality competitive goods and services for all of our customers and clients. Throughout the years, we have implemented systems and practices that enable us to be able to consider the appropriate diverse suppliers. We have certain qualification processes. We have, certain proposals that we're constantly looking to be able to fulfill with the appropriate diverse supplier. There's the award process. So within some of our systems, we've enhanced that particular nuance as well, where we are being more transparent in how we are selecting our suppliers, how we are awarding our suppliers, and what are some of the requirements and qualifications that our customers and clients are seeking for those particular RFPs. We also monitor the use of our suppliers, right, to ensure that there is continued success throughout. We're not just awarding a supplier just to have a diverse supplier on our portfolio. We're actually awarding them to ensure that we can meet a client need, a customer need, and also to make sure that we are helping them become successful in that process from step A all the way to step Z. And, what are some of our commitments? What is it exactly that our clients and customers look from our team, meaning Jonathan and I? What are we providing them with? So we have quarterly reporting on tier 1, which is specific to those suppliers that can service our clients and customers directly or through distribution. We also have tier 2 indirect and direct reporting for our customers and clients. And we provide this quarterly, but also ad hoc, because we have quite a few customers that will have more of a stronger focus on their supplier diversity spend. And so they'll reach out and say, hey, can I obtain a monthly report on my supplier diversity spend, just to understand where I'm at, what are some of the gaps, what are some of the opportunities. How do we work with our diverse suppliers? Well, we have diverse suppliers that have not gone through third-party certification, and we'll actually go into a little bit about our program in later slides, but we encourage our suppliers that are not third-party certified to become certified. And why is that? That's because most of our clients and customers are seeking certified diverse spend. They want to be able to count that spend towards certain supplier diversity goals that they have within their organizations. And we pursue all types of certified and classified classifications, diverse spend. So we're listing some of the few here, but we actually track roughly about 18 categories between Aramark and Avendra Group to be able to fulfill those client and customer needs on certified and classified spend. And then Aramark as a whole has a public goal. By 2025, our goal is to reach 25% with small and diverse-owned businesses. Next slide, please. Great, thank you so much. We have goals, commitments, and requirements. So these goals, commitments, and requirements are not only for the sake of Aramark, they're also for the sake of Aramark Avendra, our customers, and our clients, right? So it's important to set these goals throughout the beginning of the year, and then ensure that we're tracking them mid-year review and also end-of-year review. So some of those goals include diverse supplier inclusion, which is something I spoke about earlier. We have a goal to be able to reach at least 100% inclusion, but most importantly, to be able to include a diverse supplier in a competitive initiative in RFP. We work with clients that have very serious supplier diversity inclusion goals. And so there are certain thresholds that where they would like to see a diverse supplier included and awarded potentially, but definitely included to be able to fulfill that gap where we are reaching out to our community, diverse communities, and we are sourcing diverse suppliers. We are including them and awarding them at the end of the day. And then our associates on the sourcing side, well, not just them, but also Jonathan and I, we have performance management goals around supplier diversity. These metrics are tied to our performance management goals. And so the goal there is, again, how are we reaching out to our communities? How are we working with our partners, our NGO partners, our regional affiliates? How are we reaching out to diverse suppliers at engagements where we are bringing back their information, we are introducing them to our procurement team, we are including them in, again, our competitive initiatives and RFPs. We have supplier diversity requirements as well. As you know, if you consider yourself to be to have a diverse-owned business, then 51% of that business must be owned, managed, and operated by a U.S. citizen of a diverse background. And so our requirements to our suppliers is provide us with a certification that indicates that you are a diverse-owned business within one of the many of the 18 diverse certifications that we currently track. And then, ensure that you are being compliant with restating and renewing your certification. And if you do not have a third-party certification with a top NGO or a local state or local government, then renew your status with us via an affidavit, meaning that would be a self-classified form that indicates all of the diversity requirements, and then that supplier would be indicating how they wish to classify themselves within all of the different diversity classifications that we currently track. So we work with our national NGOs, we work with the state and the local governments. This slide just simply lists out some of those national, local, and state governments that we partner with on a day-to-day basis. Next slide, please. Thank you. So Aramark and Avendra, we support organizations that foster the growth and development of diverse owned businesses. And so through these partnerships, we're able to meet our goals and our clients and customer goals. And listed here on this sheet are some of the partnerships that we have today. And as you can see, we've partnered with top NGOs, with the regional affiliates, with third-party agencies that currently track diverse spend, and then also local chambers. And then in addition to that, I'd mentioned earlier that I support the vendor group side of the business, which is hotel management companies. So we also have a partnership with NABHOOD, which is the National Association of Black Hotel Owners, Operators, and Developers. And so because of these partnerships, we're able to expand our portfolio of diverse suppliers. So we attend their local conferences, we get involved in other diversity engagements, we host lunch and learns, we participate in how to do business presentations such as these to be able to widen our pool of diverse suppliers and create that awareness, and then bring back that information to our sourcing team to be able to look through and identify a diverse supplier for a potential competitive RFP that we may currently be working on or we will be working on in the future. We also support matchmaker events and supplier networking programs and other business capability workshops on the national and the local level. Earlier in July is definitely one of our busiest engagement seasons, where Jonathan and myself travel throughout the many states to participate in national conferences. And this year, between the both of us and also Natalie, we were able to participate in a number of corporate events with some of these local partners here and national partners. Next slide, please. So earlier, I talked a little bit about some of our supplier development programs, and I spoke about, in particular, helping our diverse suppliers who are classified get certified, right? And so through some of these programs, we are able to accomplish providing that support and guidance and coaching to our contracted diverse suppliers. And so Certify My Company is one of those agencies that we currently work with. They are also a diverse-owned business, and they specialize in the certification process. They provide training, consulting, and assistance with completing the application in support of a third-party certification. Aramark sponsors on a yearly basis roughly 10 diverse suppliers that are classified to become certified. And so we've had plenty of success throughout the years in obtaining these top NGO certifications for our self-classified suppliers, so that one, we can help them obtain the benefits of becoming certified, two, helping our customers and clients be able to count that spend as certified spend versus classified spend. And so this has been a very productive program year over year. It's a program that we want to continue to sponsor to be able to better support our suppliers as well as our customers and clients. And then the following three are other development programs that we've also hosted throughout the year. The second one here, which is Centers of Excellence, is one that we have partnered with EMSCC, NMSCC, and the Southern California MSDC. This is a program that we hosted for quite a number of years, and we're actually now going to be sunsetting it and bringing this program in-house, renaming the program. But we've had the honor, the privilege to be able to work with our regional affiliates as well as NMSCC, our national partner, to be able to recruit diverse suppliers that are certified through these organizations and be able to guide them and provide one-on-one executive coaching and peer-to-peer mentoring. PIPE, which is Progress, Insight, and Performance Education Program. It's also another development program where we work in collaboration with the Chicago Minority Supplier Development Council and the University of Phoenix. It's an 8-week program that hosts a series of business management educational series. And we actually added a peer-to-peer mentoring component last year, which we will continue to evolve and support throughout this coming year as well and the years to come. And the Venture Mentoring Team Program, this is actually a program that we work with one of our local affiliates, which is the Greater Philadelphia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, where we have Aramark suppliers come in, I'm sorry, not Aramark suppliers, Aramark executives come in and mentor these businesses as a way to pay it forward and give back to the community. Next slide, please. And Jonathan, I'll hand it over to you to speak about our supplier sourcing process.
Yes, so we're going to transition and talk about our process for sourcing diverse suppliers. So you'll see on the screen, there's a 5-point process that we typically follow with meeting these sourcing needs. And first is to simply identify the opportunity. Opportunities for diverse suppliers can come through a number of different channels, right? So first, is there a need for it in terms of our internal um, goals and targets, right? So is there a goal that we mentioned earlier, our goal to spend with certified uh, diverse suppliers, 25% of our spend to be allocated to small and diverse suppliers. Is there a need within one of our accounts, right? So is there a client who is requiring that we source with small diverse suppliers, whether local or regional, et cetera? Um, or is there a requirement for a specific certification, meaning we're working with suppliers, but now the client or there's a need for the supplier to have a specific certification. So these are a few examples of opportunities or scenarios where we would then begin a sourcing effort to meet the identified need. And so that's the next step of the process, is to actually source to meet the given need. And so there are a number of ways that we do that, and a few things that we kind of evaluate as a part of this process. So first, we want to assess the availability of suppliers in a particular market or category. This is where a lot of times we rely on our partnerships with organizations like EMSDC and MSDC, NGLCC, et cetera, all those partners that Mercedes had on the screen in the previous slide. And we tap into their local or national database of diverse suppliers, where we will find the profiles of suppliers like yourselves and others who may be able to meet a specific need. And so those are very crucial partnerships. A lot of times, in addition to our internal database of suppliers, we tap into those organizations and those partnerships quite often to meet these sourcing needs. And so we review the availability of suppliers, and then we evaluate those different directories. And once we determine and we have a pool of suppliers that we've identified some suppliers who can meet the need, that's when we move to the next step, the third step, which is to qualify those suppliers. So this is where we look at things like your product fit. Is it the product that we need? Can you get it? Can you get the product to where we need it? In the time frame that we need it, at the frequency that we need it, with your distribution capacity. We'll talk a little bit later about how that impacts not just the selection process, but also contracting and things of that nature. Is there a cost impact associated with moving product from one supplier to a diverse supplier? To meet the goal, we look at what's the cost impact there, and then we also there are other documents and things that we have to collect, insurance related, safety documents, etc. And so we go through the process to verify and make sure that the supplier not just will meet the diverse supplier need, but will also be a good business fit. Right. So we've gone through steps 1, 2, 3. We've decided that, okay, this supplier or these handful of suppliers, they meet the need, they meet the qualifications. Now the next step is to award that supplier with the business opportunity. And so this is where we, set specific expectations in terms of, price and product delivery, how frequently, at what price. We get our internal approvals needed through our broader supply chain organization, through legal, et cetera. Any negotiable terms within an agreement. This is where those terms and things are ironed out. And then the last stage is obviously the implementation stage of the process. Now, this is where an agreement is executed. The supplier has been onboarded into our supply chain system, and a lot of times, this part of the process is where Mercedes and I will lean more heavily on, our category managers, our operators who are at the account level, to kind of manage the implementation process and how things are moving once all of the setup is in place. So this is kind of where we track spend, we track compliance, we make sure that things are operating according to the plan and to standard. The next slide is where we'll talk a little bit more in depth on contract negotiating points and some of those qualification standards that we mentioned in the last slide play into, if we're going to execute a contract, what are some of the things that we look for? What are some of the key terms and points that are in our standard supplier agreement? So first is the scope. The first thing we want to identify and set up is the scope, right? So who obviously at the basic level, who are the parties within the contract, right? Are you contracting with Aramark, the enterprise? Are you contracting with Aramark Sports and Entertainment, Aramark Facilities? What is the scope of the business that you are providing, or the section of the business that you are providing services to? And then what are those specific products and services that are being contracted as a part of the agreement? So that's kind of the foundation of, what the contract stands on. And then we talk about in the next point, the term and termination of the agreement. When is the start and end date? Is it an auto renewal? Is it just for 1 year, 2 years? Is it just for the life of a client contract? All of those things come into play when we're looking at, the terms and conditions of the agreement. The third piece is economics and pricing. So this is where we evaluate the financial impact of the partnership. This is where we also look at margins, markups, if there are any rebates or incentives that will be a part of the agreement. This is where those things will be outlined. Timing and notification of price changes is also something that we typically put into our broader supplier agreements. So this is, I would say, a key component to, some of the more negotiable points in a contract. And this is also where, the broader Aramark team outside of Mercedes, myself, and supply chain come into play. This is typically where folks from the finance team at an account are weighing into the conversation, right? Will this partnership work financially for the operation? And if so, that's put into the economics and pricing section of the contract. Number 4 is order and delivery. So not just the ordering system. So I'll talk a little bit about technology and the impact of technology on either side of the agreement. So will purchases be made through our ordering system, through your ordering system? If you're using our ordering system, will that who will be responsible for the installation and setup of the ordering system, et cetera? Also, will it be delivered? Will the product be delivered into unit? All of those things are discussed and put into the contract with some level of negotiation. The 5th piece is reporting, right? So this is the part that I'm typically very interested in. How will the spend be tracked in terms of meeting goals and reporting to our external stakeholders? Will the products and services, will the products be delivered through distribution where we will have to record at a tier 2 level? Will we be, purchasing directly from the manufacturer? What products are we reporting on? So on the sustainability side of things, sometimes things are very product specific in terms of which products have certain sustainability standards, et cetera. And so what will be included in the reporting, what won't be included in the reporting, all of those things are kind of what is related to the reporting aspect of the contract. And then the last piece is equipment and service. So do you own your equipment? Do you lease your equipment? Will Aramark need to lease or purchase any equipment? So we see this with some of our coffee and tea manufacturers that we have contracts with, where the manufacturer is only providing the coffee, they're not providing the brewing system, the grinding system, if any of those things are required, who is responsible for the cost of those things, et cetera. So that was very quickly the six key negotiating points of a standard agreement. The next slide looks at some of the more non-negotiable aspects of a contract. And so this is where you see, your food safety standards. Aramark operates at a level of internal standards that are typically set, above whatever local or federal local standards that are in place for a particular operation. So if even if you're meeting the local safety standards, right, there are certain safety standards that Aramark will require in order to do business. So we'll need for our suppliers to be in compliance with those as well. Your warranty and indemnification, your insurance documentation. So there are different levels of insurance that we may have suppliers, that we may require suppliers to carry depending on the products that we are sourcing. If you have more perishable products that you're providing that are more susceptible to, foodborne illnesses and or causing foodborne sicknesses and illnesses and things of that nature, the insurance would obviously need to be higher versus, if you're providing shelf-stable, CPG items, the insurance requirements would obviously be different. So you would have to inquire and kind of see what will be required for what you're providing or what we're sourcing from you. And then the last pieces are, confidentiality, any governing laws. We definitely have to be in compliance with the laws of the local municipality or the states in which we operate. And so we definitely evaluate that to make sure that things are in compliance there. So, these are some of the areas where there is not much, if any, room to negotiate in terms of contracts and how we do business with suppliers. Next slide, please. I'm checking time, make sure we're good. So this slide here is, where you can find more information on Aramark Avendra supplier diversity. There are some really helpful links here. You can look at our website where there's more information on our program, some of the things that we discussed today. You can find more information on some of the external engagement that we've done with local suppliers and supplier profiles that are being highlighted. You can also find here on this slide some of our common sourcing needs. And so this is, both on the Aramark food beverage facilities side and also the Avendra and hospitality side. Those are some of the major categories in which we source for suppliers. And then that next link is a really useful link. We provide suppliers with a breakdown of our sourcing calendar, which is where we source for specific categories throughout the year, and we focus on initiatives within those categories, whether it's bringing on a new supplier, evaluating existing suppliers. All of that is done on a timeline, and that sourcing calendar lays all of that out for you. And then lastly, our direct email accounts. So Mercedes and I both manage these these email accounts directly. There are no automated responses or email bots that are responding to you. We go into these email accounts ourselves and review the emails that are received. So you definitely want to reach out if you have any questions or want to share information on your business, etc. And then the last link is a link to the registration portal that I mentioned briefly. If you want to register in our portal of diverse suppliers, you can click that link, provide your information so that we can easily access it when opportunities do present themselves for the products or services that you are providing. And I believe that is our last slide. So we have some time for questions, if there are any questions.
Hey, everybody. I just wanted to thank Aramark Avendra very much for participating in this Up Next and for everyone who is part of the call. I'm Tristina Cash with EMSDC, and we thank both Mercedes and Jonathan, and of course, Natalie, for your support. Aramark has been a very strong supporter of the Eastern Minority Supplier Development Council, and as was shared earlier, has been one of the partners in the Centers of Excellence program that has run very successfully over the years, and we look forward to that continuation of that relationship. This is a good time to ask or pose your questions to Jonathan and Mercedes in terms of how your business can do business with Aramark. Please take advantage to this opportunity. We have a good portion of time left for you to do so. So let's see, have we some questions in the chat or Q&A?
There are two, actually three, four. They're building.
Okay, come on with it, everyone.
I think the first one is, are you looking for MBEs to support any professional services in areas of leadership, coaching, and training? So I'll take a first stab at that, and then Jonathan, please chime in. So that's a question that we get quite often. We always, get a lot of inquiries in regards to staffing, coaching, and training. So Aramark has its own MSP, and then internally at corporate headquarters, we also have our own set of coaching and trainers in the DE&I space, in the training and development space. Could there be an opportunity at some point? It doesn't hurt to register on our portal, because if any of our leaders within Aramark are seeking to bring in a third party, they will potentially reach out to Jonathan and I and inquire, or reach out to our database within Supplier IO, where we highly encourage you to register, because our team usually goes there whenever they're looking to include a diverse supplier in this space.
Yeah, I would echo that, Mercedes. A lot of the opportunity there is very niche or ad hoc, I would say, just because a lot of the leadership development and coaching that is done. There are either partners in place that we utilize, or a lot of it is done in-house. So there, I would say, are opportunities, but they're few and far between, unfortunately.
Jonathan, if you want to take the next one.
Sure. So how does Aramark work with local beverage companies when the major suppliers have the pouring rights? So I'm assuming we're talking about if there's a specific beverage supplier that one of our clients is contracted with, or we're contracted with at a particular account. And I would say if there are if there's a contract in place, there could be opportunity for if the contract is with the client, like sometimes our clients will ask us or give us the opportunity to subcontract some of the spend in that category to small and diverse suppliers. If that is, if there is a spend goal there, or if it's at the request of the client. Typically, from our standpoint, we are at the behest of our clients, and a lot of what we do on a day-to-day basis is very client focused, client driven. I think just Aramark in general, a lot of our initiatives are at the support of our clients and their goals and their spend goals. So if there is a goal or a program in place at a client account, typically there is opportunity to subcontract some of that business. However, a lot of times, yeah, we do have major partners, suppliers, manufacturers who we have standard agreements with in that space. So you have to, I would say, have your information available to us, like both in the portal that we mentioned, or email it to supplierdiversity@aramark.com. And when opportunities arise, we'll have your information to be able to follow up with you.
Right. I'm going to take this one that speaks to if you don't if a category on the sourcing calendar is not posted, does that mean that there won't be one later on? So the sourcing calendar gets updated quarterly. It was recently updated in July. It may not be updated again until sometime, maybe September, October. And no, that doesn't mean that there won't be one later on. However, if this deck that will be shared with you at a later point in time lists out the major sourcing categories that we usually go for based on the needs of our clients and customers. And so I would say check quarterly the sourcing calendar to understand if we are going to be putting a bid out for any of those contracts. And if there is an interest, then email Jonathan and I at either the supplier diversity at Aramark or supplier diversity at avendra.com, letting us know that you're interested in a particular sourcing event that is taking place or will take place in the future. Send us your capability statement, send us, the top reasons why you feel that your business would be the right fit for that particular initiative that we're going to be sourcing for. But definitely keep an eye out because it changes quarterly. And, come December, January, we will be updating that with the 2025 initiatives that we will be sourcing for.
So there's a question here from Russell. It says, I have a distillery in Pennsylvania and DSD abilities in PA. How can I explore business in the Commonwealth? So as Mercedes mentioned, definitely share with us your capability statement, register in our portal if you haven't already. There obviously we do a lot of business in the Philadelphia area, the Pennsylvania region. Just given our history here, our headquarters here, we have longstanding relationships with a lot of major clients in the area. So there's certainly a high likelihood of opportunity in the area. As far as a distillery or alcoholic beverages, there are some different channels that we go through in terms of how we sell and distribute alcohol at our accounts. Just contractually, there are some specific hurdles that we have to get around. But in terms of availability of opportunity, there's definitely opportunities within the Commonwealth. So please make sure you reach out with your information on your distillery and your specific capabilities, and we can take a look and let you know of any opportunities that may exist.
Great. So there's another question on here that says, the first step is to register. Thank you for doing that when you do. And then what is the next step to engage? As Jonathan and I mentioned throughout our presentation, we source whenever there is a need. We do not just award diverse suppliers just to have them on our portfolio. If there is a sourcing need out there, specifically on the sourcing calendar, that's when we will be reaching out to diverse suppliers that may fit that particular category need. So that is how we typically do the engagement piece, right? If you're looking to create awareness around your company and what products and services you may offer, email Jonathan and I at supplierdiversity@avendra.com or supplierdiversity@aramark.com. As mentioned previously, include your capability statement, what geographic location you currently cover, what categories of interest are currently within your, your business. And so we can create that additional awareness with our procurement team, letting them know, here's a potential diverse supplier for a future category need when that opportunity does come to play.
Let's see.
Jonathan,
Hi,
take the technology one.
yes, from is that Vania? CMO 360 advertising communications. If we do not see our industry in our industry for sourcing needs, does that mean you don't have a need right now and may have one later? We can execute internal and external communication strategies. Vanya, I hope I pronounced that correctly. If not, I apologize. So yes, to answer your question quickly, that does mean that we don't have opportunity right now. In terms of whether or not we will have one later, like we mentioned, outside of those categories that you see listed, there are very limited opportunity, right? So I can't say that there will not be any opportunity later, but if there's an opportunity where we're switching a provider in the advertising and communication space, or in terms of communicating communication strategies, one, we will certainly be notified by our comms team if there's an opportunity for utilization of a diverse supplier in that space. However, we have a pretty I guess, thorough communications team that handles those strategies. And so there isn't an overabundance of opportunities in that space. But as opportunities present themselves, we definitely go through the same channels that we mentioned in terms of our sourcing process. So if you're interested in those opportunities, please make sure we have your information.
Great. There's a question here from Jennifer. In spending dollars, what's the amount of money spent in pressure sensitive adhesives, aka tape? Seems like it would be a highly needed in your operation. Any insight is greatly appreciated. So we do currently work with distributors in this space, both diverse and non-diverse. I can't exactly provide you with an estimated dollar amount for the Aramark Managed Services side and the Avendra Group Hospitality Management side. But what I can tell you is that we do contract for these types of for these types of categories, not just for ourselves, Aramark and Avendra, but also for our customers and clients. And those opportunities will potentially go on the sourcing calendar once those contracts come up for bid.
Yeah. So right now we're contracted with 3M for our tapes and adhesives and related products. So we 3M pretty much covers the gamut in terms of what our needs are in that space. Again, if there's a specific need, meaning one of our accounts wants to source those products or office products or things related from a small diverse supplier, we've seen that happen. We've seen those opportunities present themselves. It would just need to go through supply chain for approval, given that there is an existing program in place for those products.
And someone just asked, for more specific questions, where can they email us? So I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat here for everyone, the hosts and panelists, our email addresses, the email boxes that Jonathan and I personally manage, so that we can be able to better assist you in the future.
Someone asked, how is Aramark using AI in its supply operations? Great question. As Mercedes mentioned last month, there was a lot of travel, a lot of conferences that we've attended over the last month. AI is taking over the conversational waves in supply chain, supply diversity, et cetera. So I do know of certain regions of our business where we are experimenting with robotics and other forms of AI. It's pretty siloed right now in terms of the areas of the business that are utilizing that specific form of AI. But I know in our higher ed space, in the healthcare space, there's some use of AI and robotics to deliver food and things to like patients at, bedside, things of that nature. I don't get to work with a lot of the fun things like AI and robotics and things like that directly. So I'm probably not the best person to answer that question. But I do know, given the way that the world is going, that we are definitely experimenting with AI and, incorporating into the business and our supply chain as much as we can. So hopefully that answers your question.
And then there's a question regarding our safety program and our employee benefit services. So do you purchase safety programs and our employee benefit services via supplier diversity program? So at Aramark, at headquarters, we have our risk management department, and they manage a lot of the safety programs that we collaborate with on all the Aramark accounts, as well as with our customers and clients. And then we also have an employee benefit services program through our benefits department here at Aramark as well. As previously mentioned, you may or may not see that on the sourcing calendar because it's not something that we're particularly sourcing for. However, there could potentially be an opportunity at some point in the future for any of these departments to want to engage with a diverse supplier, a third-party supplier for a particular event. So I highly recommend that, you register in our portal so that when that opportunity does come, we can seek out your information on Supplier One. And I just recently posted that link here in the webinar chat. So feel free to grab that from there and go ahead and register with our company. Jonathan, I think there's another one here right before the link, if you want to take that one.
How often does opportunities come up for small businesses when all of the major manufacturers provide cheaper prices and are already contracted with Aramark? It seems that the larger companies do not allow those opportunities. Well, no one wants to give up business if they don't have to, right? So yeah, I think that's why people like myself and Mercedes will always have work. So it's our job to, I call myself the supplier diversity influencer at Aramark, right? I'm constantly advocating not just to our sales organization, but our broader supply chain organization for the utilization of local and small and diverse suppliers. So I would say that is where those opportunities come from folks in different organizations who are championing, the use of, diversifying supply chains, right? And so I would say those opportunities do exist. It's not always at the initiation of our existing suppliers, but we have systems in place within Aramark to provide for those exceptions, right? When there is an opportunity for a small, diverse supplier, even though there's a national program or enterprise-wide program in place, we still provide for those opportunities given the goals and initiatives that we have. So yeah, a lot of times it can seem like little fish swimming in a big pond, but we do our best to advocate and create pathways for diversifying the supply chain as much as possible.
Next question on here is, do you use professional services for architecture and design? I've seen very few opportunities there for the Avendra Group hospitality side of the company. But we also partner within Avendra with an FF&E group that manages a lot of the Avendra customers and clients. So feel free to send me your information to the supplier diversity at Avendra, avendra.com email address, and I can forward your details to our FF&E group. And then, I just recently also posted the sourcing calendar link. So keep an eye out, because at some point there could be an opportunity there. But I'd also want to be able to create awareness for your company and share your details with the FF&E group within Avendra. Jonathan, there's one about specialty spice blends for Aramark. I think they were contracted in the past.
Has Aramark contracted with suppliers for specialty spice blends in the past? Is there opportunity for spice blend vendors in the diverse supplier program in the future? Yes. So right now our contract is with McCormick for our overall spices and seasonings. We have contracted with smaller suppliers, diverse suppliers in the spice in the spices category. And so I would say, yes, there is opportunity there. Right now, even the diverse opportunity, like we have a regional diverse supplier that we utilize in the spices space. So I would say right now, the opportunity is probably with, more at the account level versus regional or putting a national program in place. But I would say yes, there definitely will be opportunity in the future for suppliers in the spices and seasoning arena.
And I think we have one more minute. So this next question is, Vestis has been spun off as a different company from Aramark now. Does their procurement run under your purview? Jonathan, I'm not sure how much information you have on that. I do know that Aramark uses Vestis for their uniform program. But as far as, does it run under our procurement? Maybe you may be better suited to answer that.
I don't believe so. I think, and yeah, I'm not really the best person to answer that. That may be more so of a legal question. But I believe that Vestis, when it was spun off as its own company, it's operating independent of Aramark, if that answers your question. And at any rate, I know we don't have any dealings or interaction with anyone who's doing procurement for Vestis. So I would imagine that's where your interest is. So we're definitely not connected there.
Well, we definitely appreciate all of the questions. I'm happy to see that this was a very collaborative session, even through the webinar chat and the Q&A. Jonathan and I purposely leave enough room when we do these presentations to be able to help answer your questions and concerns. So we thank you for being very proactive in writing down your questions. Definitely reach out to us over email. We'll be sure to reach back out to you and connect you and create that additional awareness for you. Jonathan, I'll hand it off to you for final remarks.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely second what Mercedes said. We really enjoy engaging and answering your questions. This is not just a job for us. We're very passionate about engaging suppliers and helping to create opportunities. So we appreciate the opportunity. Thank you to EMSDC, for having us and for this program. So please reach out to us if you have any other questions.
Thank you, guys. And for the participants, please note that you will receive an email that will contain a link for the post-webinar evaluation, as well as a copy of the slides. And if you are not yet third-party certified, please go to our website at emsdc.org. And at the top of the page will be a link to the application for the online certification with all the instructions that you need. And then obviously, we believe in getting certifications, all that you need, all that are relevant to your business. So definitely explore others, such as if you're a woman-owned business, a veteran-owned business, certified, small business, SBA, etc. So we look forward to working with you. Also check out our website for upcoming events and opportunities to connect in person with some of the folks from Aramark and other corporate members. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank you all. Take care.